Hello! We're not late, we're on time, we're definitely on time, we're not late, you can't prove anything, we're not late. We're an hour late. Okay, so I figured out why it is that I thought it would be 7 and not 6. And that is because MapleStory's daily reset time is at 7. So I was like, oh, what I'll do is I'll start and it'll, I was like, nice. Stream will coincide exactly with the time of daily reset. So I can have the daily reset happen, and then I can just, start stream. But the thing is I set the stream start time for 6 instead of 7, 6, 7. Either way, you can see, this was set as Sunny Sunday. This is actually a lie. As far as MapleStory is concerned, it is Monday now. Or actually, wait, let me log out and show off my characters and stuff too. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7 spent the entire game farming and had 50,000 soul lead. So let me do this real quick. I'm noticing now on screen. There we go. I had to change the capture mode for it to work. It wasn't actually updating the stuff. Also, it doesn't seem to be capturing the game audio. Hi, Zeppling! We're doing troubleshooting because I started the stream definitely on time and not an hour late because I mistook all of the time. Current game audio. Why is none of this capturing the audio? What's going on? Yeah, I play a little bit of MapleStory. I'll show off my characters in a second. I just want to get If I do it like this, will it? Why, though? Why is it not capturing game audio? I'm actually going to Google this real quick. MapleStory OBS not capturing audio. Supposedly, it should just work with an application audio capture. I know, MapleStory has maybe one of the best OSTs of all games. That was loud. Thank you for the follow. Ow, my head. Ow, my ears. I had my volume turned so far up, being like, I'll see if that makes it work. Let's see. What if I just add a new application audio capture? Hmm. Gang, I don't know why this isn't working. You know what? Maybe for it to hook properly, I need to completely exit the game. OBS should be run as administrator, yeah. Hmm. Okay, it is picking up. It is just incredibly quiet, because that did show up. So I think it might just be so quiet. There we go. I'm going to need to turn my headset down a little bit. Oh, hi, Rachel. Long time no see. All right, there we go. Now it should be audible. Is this okay volume-wise? I'll need to turn my headset way down for this, because now this is, like, painful. Also, a very loud seltzer crunch incoming. A bit low? We'll have to adjust this further in-game, too. Alright, so anyway, I will quickly show off my little list of characters here. We've got my main, that's my Lara, we've got a Ren, we've got a Angelic Buster, we've got a Kana, we've got a Lin, we've got an Adele, we've got a Hayato, we've got Zero, we've got Kinesis, we've got Cadena, we've got Kaiser, we've got Hoyoung, we've got Kane, we've got Mercedes, Aran, Phantom, Luminous, Evan, Demon Avenger, Blaze Wizard, Nightwalker, Dawn Warrior, Wind Archer, Shade, Demon Slayer, Wild Hunter, Blaster, Xenon, Battle Mage, Mechanic, Marksman, Bowmaster, Kali, Arc, another Angelic Buster, Ilium, Pathfinder, Dark Knight, Hero, Paladin, Bishop, Night Lord, Shadower, Blade Master, Archmage Ice Lightning, Archmage Fire Poison, Buccaneer, Cannon Master, Corsair, Thunderbreaker, Shade, another add-on from an event, Hero, which was from an event. Yes, this is the normal server. A Mojuan, and a Sia Estelle. So you might be asking, hey Avery, why do you have every class in the game leveled to at least like level 200-ish? And the reason for that is a system called Legion. Also, yes, because I'm an insane person. But, how many classes are in this game? 47, I think? There we go. So this is Legion. And what this lets you do, basically, is as you level up different characters, you will basically get them to have these little things called Legion blocks. You can take those Legion blocks, and each class has a different shape for their Legion blocks. You can rotate them, you can flip them other way, etc., etc. And basically, you get to fill in these little sections of the grid. Each Legion block will have its own stat assigned to it. So, like, this is Ematat, so magic attack in this. This is boss damage, intelligence, ignore defense, buff duration, and critical damage. You get a base stat for putting in anything into these sections of the grid. But also, each individual character also has its own Legion block effect. And they don't stack with, like, multiple of the same characters. So, like, I have 2 Angelic Busters, but having 2 Angelic Busters doesn't give me a extra amount of dex. But it would still give me the same stats on here. And essentially, you really, really, really want this filled in because all of your characters get your Legion bonuses. So, like, if you look here, you can see from the grid bonus, I'm getting 75 int, I'm getting 15 magic attack, I'm getting 40% ignore enemy defense. I'll explain ignore enemy defense when we get to bossing in a minute. 16% buff duration, 40% boss damage, 20% critical damage. Like, that's a lot. And then from my actual, like, board here, I'm gaining another 70 attack, a whole ton of int, a whole bunch of crit, a whole bunch of ignore defense, buff duration, boss damage, status resistance. So, like, this adds up a lot. Like, this is a huge amount of the total stat of the account. And then you also get your Legion artifact system, which goes up as you do these artifact missions. Each of these gives you some individual EXP. And as your artifact level goes up, you can get these, which you can assign stats to. So we have damage, boss damage, critical damage, damage, boss damage, critical damage, because you can have each one can get 2 stacks of it. Ignore enemy defense, which I will from now on be calling IED. Critical rate buff duration. Meso item drop bonus EXP. You knew I was insane? Listen, you should, again, this isn't even the only MMO I've gone this deep into. Like, I have played too many MMOs. You think that, like, I'm, like, a retro gamer? No, I'm an MMO player who has played the same games for 20 years. But yeah, like, from these Legion artifacts, this is giving me 20% critical rate, a whole bunch of damage, a whole bunch of all stat, like, this gets really good. Oh, actually, I can level up the rank on this, so we'll get to see. I get to do this, and now this one has leveled up, because I actually got enough artifact level to get this up. So this is now even more all stat, etc., etc., etc. Max a RuneScape account, and am now currently working on a second. So, you know. And then, after your Legion artifact system, there is also now the Legion champion system. Where basically, you have all of these different characters, and you can assign them as Legion champions. Each of your Legion champions will get additional bonus stats. I haven't played Elsword with every class, but I have played Elsword. So, let's see. I'm probably going to swap my Angelic Buster to my Kana, because my Kana has kind of passed my Angelic Buster in terms of overall strength here. But this gives you different missions to clear certain bosses under certain difficulties and conditions, and then this will give you, like, all of your Legion champions will get all stat for the first mission, attack power for the second mission, boss damage for the third, critical damage for the fourth, and ignore defense for the fifth. Realistically speaking, the fifth one is by far the hardest, but also by far the least impactful by that point. And the second one is a really big boost for a relatively, I say low, but, like, this game has a funny idea of time investments. So, there's that. And then, you thought that there was already enough with just the Legion. No, the other reason to level all of your characters is link skills. Each class has its own, or well, each class asterisk has its own link skill. So stuff like the Adventurers, the mages all have the same link skill and they'll stack up to level up. All of the resistance classes have their own link skill that stacks up, but for the most part, most classes have their own unique link skill. So like, Lyn, for example, has Focus Spirit, where you get boss damage, critical rate, max HP, and max MP. Demon Slayer, you get 20% boss damage. These go as your character gets up to level 210. So, like, here, for example, my Spirit of Freedom is only level 8 because I do not have all of the resistances at 210. But I do have all but one at 210. So I have this at level 9. This is at level 9. This can go significantly higher, though. I probably do want to get this up. This is true. We haven't gotten into gear. Which, let me open up the gear menu here. So, let me swap onto my bossing setup. Oh, one of my symbols can enhance. I'll explain this in a second. Because that's yet another system. Yippee! So, you can see each piece of gear has strength, dex, int, luck, max HP, max MP, attack power, magic attack, defense, and then has potentials. But you'll notice if I go over to here, there are, next to the stat numbers, there are blue stats and yellow stats. So, in this case, the white stat is the base stat of the weapon. Whoop, hovered a little bit too long. The yellow stat is from Star Force, which are those stars at the top. I'll explain how Star Forcing works in a minute, but just keep in mind that that is another system that we're going to get to. But then we have the blue numbers, which those are from flames on gear. So if I open up the Enhanced tab here, and I put, like, a weapon in here, my Destiny weapon, or Genesis weapon would be a bad example here, because I can't actually Star Force it. Here, you can spend Mesos, and you can try and Star Force to get your Star Force rank up. Each time you Star Force, you will get an addition to the stats of the gear. The further you go into the Star Force, the further the stats increase. But you can see there's a 15% chance of success, a 78% chance of failure, and a 6.8% chance of the item being destroyed. At which point the item becomes unequipable, becomes a trace, gets set back to 12 star, and you'd have to get a duplicate of the item to restore the trace and keep Star Forcing from 12 stars. Yes, anybody who has, like, a PSO2 PTSD with grinders knows this system quite well. Then you have the bonus stats, which go with the flames here. And you can re-roll these stats. PSO2 is another game that I've played way too much of. Maybe I'll do a PSO2 stream at some point. It'd give me a good excuse to go play it. But basically, like, this will get you bonus stats. This will get you scaling bonus stats. Let's download NA. I am already endgame on NA, too. On both JP and NA, I have endgame accounts. Again, certified crazy person. Have you ever tried Granado Espada? I have seen it, but I have never tried it. So, anyway, potential is another thing. You use these cubes, and you re-roll, and you get 3 lines of potential. Each of these can give different things. And you will want to do this for every single one of your slots. Not every slot can be Star Forced. So, for example, like, your pocket slot here can't be Star Forced, but can get bonus stats from flames. But, like, your rings can get potential bonus stats and Star Force. Your shoulder can't get bonus stats, but can get Star Force and Potential. This all adds up a lot. Like, a lot. And you can also see by, like, my inventory here, you want to keep, as you're grinding your gear up, like, stuff that you actually are planning on Star Forcing, you want to keep duplicate copies of it in your inventory. So that you can potentially afford to explode it with, like here, for example, is an item that exploded, and here's another one that is, like, their traces. Now, another thing that you get are arcane and sacred symbols, which start after you hit level 200. You get your, like, arcane symbols, which you can do dailies to get arcane symbols, and you merge them together until they are max level. Each of these gives you something called Arcane Force, and just base stat, right? The Arcane Force is useful for anything in the Arcane River. You need a certain amount of Arcane Force to damage the things there, and the more Arcane Force you have, the more damage you deal to them, up to a cap. Sacred Force is where we are currently. It's basically the same thing as Arcane Force, just different symbols with larger numbers and more stats on them. And you can see they start getting really expensive. 403 million mesos for me to level this up, because I had enough symbols to do that. If I open my stats tab here, you can see there is also now your ability. Your ability, you can reroll these 3 lines, and you can lock some of them. And you use Honor, which is a thing that you get by killing bosses and enemies and stuff like that over time. And you reroll that to get those. That's another form of progression. Then you have Hyper Stats, which are given to you every time you level up. Well, every time you level up once a certain point. Like, once you're late enough into the game, you'll start getting Hyper Stats. These let you, in addition to, like, your normal stuff, assign these into things like critical damage, critical rate, etc., etc. Yep, then we've got pets, which pets are mostly useful for looting. There are these things called vac pets, of which I did finally cave and actually get one, just because the game got too miserable to kind of loot without them. Because, like, here, I'll go quickly knock out my dailies here. Lara, the class that I main, is one of the best, like, general mobbing classes in the entire game. So I will quickly pop a river manifestation here. And a river manifestation here. And you can watch as I hover ominously back and forth real quick. Ah, there we go. A rune has spawned. So, what these do is you do a little directional input game. And they will give you a EXP bonus effect for a certain duration, as well as a bonus effect. In this case, Rune of Purification will put a little damage zone, kind of like, you know, where the rune was activated, which is right here, that will pulse and kill enemies. The wacky inflatable arm flailing tube men are just from one of the current events. But you can see how, like, items are getting vacuumed in by my vac pet here. If I jump down here, you can see this platform is just high enough that my vac pet can't reach down there to get the stuff. If I didn't have a vac pet, I would need to go and manually loot every one of these platforms. And at this point of the game, enemies drop a significant amount of money. Like, if I just sat here and actively grinded, this is similar in terms of money to me doing my weekly bosses on, like, the lower end. Like, technically, it is more effective for me to grab Meso boosters from the Legion shop, because your Legion also builds up these things called Legion coins over time. And you can use the Legion coins to, buy like temp boosters, so like EXP boosters, stuff like that. So having a high Legion gives you a higher rate of Legion coin generation, which lets you more readily access those as well. Now we will have some owl on owl violence as I kill these for this zone's dailies. You can see the EXP flashing down here on the bottom. But it's a little bit hard to see because it's kind of popping up and vanishing incredibly quickly. Also, seeing a familiar card drop, just made me realize that that's another system that I didn't talk about. So I'll cover how the familiar system works in a second once we finish this and I pop back to town. Normally I would pop boosters and stuff for the dailies, but I don't super care about that. I really like the OST for this zone in particular. It feels very like cyberpunk. Fortunately, the further you are in, like once you're past a zone, it makes all of the previous zone's dailies take fewer mobs that you have to kill. So like that one went a lot faster. And once you're like capped on the symbol, you're generally far enough past the zone that you don't have to worry. This person has incredible cosmetics. Also really like the OST here. Before I start like weekly bosses, maybe I'll do a brief little OST tour because some of my favorite areas just have really good music. $2.2 billion, wait until you see me buff up and fight some bosses. Usually I have my damage numbers set instead of like mini basic numbers, I do mini blade effects. Which keeps them condensed onto a... Oh, nice. Treasure Hunter popped up. Unfortunately, kind of in a low zone. And it's only a Poyo one, so... Oh, it's a legendary chest, too. Man, I wish this happened in, like, the first area. That would have been nice. It's rather quiet still? Oh, right, because I forgot to turn up the game in-game. Let me head out to a town, and I'll turn this up. How's that? Another area I quite like the OST of. Oh, right! I didn't explain nodes yet. Yeah, let me set the damage numbers to their default state. Decorations, damage skins. Do I have basic damage skins saved? I don't. I do have a non-unit damage skin though, so... Alright, so I swapped to a non-unit damage skin. I'll go to the effects, and I'll put this on basic numbers. And let's just head back out to the bottom deck passage 3. And you can see the numbers get a little bit unreadable. So let me go back to town here. Let me fix my damage numbers. And, oh right, there's also soul weapons, which I haven't explained as a system, but I'll explain familiars first. So familiars, as you hunt certain monsters, they'll drop familiar cards. You can then take those familiar cards and you can reveal them to reveal various effects. So let me go over here to Cube Slime here. Also, MapleStory has the best slimes in video games. I do make the rules, and I say it is so. Sorry, Dragon Quest Slime, you've got nothing on MapleStory Slime. I will fight people on this. MapleStory Slime is the best slime in video games. Anyway, that being said, you can unlock potential here. Ponies are also pretty good, but again, still not MapleStory Slime. I love MapleStory Slime. Yeah, so, like, this would give attack power and dex. This is kind of useless to me, but, like, you'd get these, and then you can take multiple copies of the familiar, and you can feed them to the familiar. So, like, I will say I get, like, this here. This would actually be a kind of decent one to keep, but it doesn't really matter. Where is my familiar slots? Here we go. How many slots do I even have? 31. So I'd go to fusion, I'd select the one that I want to fuse, I'd select all of the ones that I want to fuse in here. 18 more familiar cards, select all, fuse in. And then you can hit rank up. And it will either increase the rank or it will stay the same. We got some streamer luck here, so it increased the rank. This now lets you go and re-roll the potential, but also get higher potential lines. So this is 3% strength and periodically recover 7% MP. This is useless, but I'm going to be turning this into a legendary familiar eventually anyway. But, like, you'll want a lot of these. So, like, this one, for example, is regen, regen, regen. This is my regen setup. This one gives 6% magic attack, this one gives 6% magic attack, and this one gives 3% magic attack and 6% int. I haven't had great luck on familiars yet, but, like, these are passable. That's yet another source of damage. If you've been keeping track, we have potentials, we have flames, we have star forcing, we have familiars, we have legion, we have links. We have the soul weapon, which basically is just you can put a soul onto your weapon and it gives a little bit of bonus stat. We have symbols, both sacred and arcane. We have hyper stats. We have ability. We have... also, there's the Mystic Frontier, which I should check and see. I think all of my frontiers are... nothing yet. Okay. So, with this, you can basically send these out multiple times a week, and you go through a little mini-game. Mysterious Purple Pouch is good, so we'll do this. I feel like the 5G dog looking at all of this, that is very much what MapleStory is in the modern day. Another Purple Pouch, so we'll take that. This basically, this came out fairly recently. You match the familiar's elements and types to the mission, and then each of them also has random effects. I mean, it was so simple back in 2004, but also it wasn't, because you had stuff like scrolling and HP washing and stuff like that, where, like, it still got alarmingly complicated. I don't think MapleStory was ever necessarily a simple game, but it was definitely a game where you could ignore a lot of the more complex mechanics back then. And then they'll go on the expedition, and they'll just kind of, over time, get the leftover stuff from, you know, whatever you sent them to go get. There's higher tier expeditions that have higher tier rewards. I am just showing the basics, but I want to give everybody at least a little bit of a groundwork here before I start going into anything complex. And the thing is like, a lot of these systems seem very overwhelming, and in some ways they are, right? But the thing is they do largely get introduced at, like, a different pace, like, throughout the course of the game. Like, it's not like you make a character right at level 1 and suddenly you have to worry about your star forcing and your potentials and your links and your legion and all of that. Like, you can kind of build your way up to it. I could imagine, because I have played a lot of old MMOs, like, have sat around for a lot of years, where it very much does do that exact thing. Where every single system is immediately expected to be something that you need to engage with from moment one, just in order to play the game at a basic level. Like, you know, like a decade of, power creep, all just hitting it once. It's funny you're doing this, because I rebooted my Maple recently. Well, we're also doing Classic MapleStory on a private server on Wednesday, which is why I'm doing this now, so that you all just have a frame of reference to, like, see and understand what MapleStory's like in the today, so that when we all go play Classic MapleStory together, you can all just breathe a sigh of relief that it's not this. I say, even though, like, I do genuinely love this game. I've been on Maple and Mabi a lot lately. I've been tempted to replay Mabinogi a bit, but I can only juggle so many games simultaneously. Anyway, we also now have our skills that we get as we level up. So, like, this is something that you will see in original MapleStory, is these skill points. As you level up, you get skill points and you can spend them. However, if you do end up playing MapleStory, I would be more than happy to help carry you through a lot of the early bosses and get you into some basic gears so that we could play together. And by that, I mean I need more people to play this game with me. But anyway, now we're on to yet another system. We've got the V Matrix. This is for your 5th job. Each of these nodes is a different skill. This is what is, instead of skill points, you get nodes. These nodes you get by opening these things, node stones. And node stones come in 3 types. There are basic skill nodes, which are things like Blink, Mana Overload, etc., where these are things that basically everybody gets. You have your tri-nodes, which have 3 separate skills on them. And those give a percentile boost to skills you already have. So like in this case, Dragon Vein Absorption, final damage plus 60%. And then you have actual skill nodes, which are like new skills that you get for the jobs. All of these, you consume duplicate nodes to level them up. And then you can also enhance the slots as you level up to give even more bonus stats. Check DMs, super important. I will check DMs, for it is super important. Let me just go here. Do this. And courtesy of Molly here. So anyway, you can also level up the slots, and there's like little optimizations you can do on how you level up your slot order and stuff. Like this, I have all of these slots at level 1 because technically these at level 25, if you bring them to level 26, they give 1 additional stat point, so by properly laying out your slot level ups, you can get like a complete pittance of extra stat by laying everything out properly. So that's your V matrix. Once you get to 6th job, you have your Hexa matrix, which now is yet another system where basically you unlock these. So these are skills, like new skills. These boost existing skills. These boost your 5th job skills, and then these are generic ones that every class gets. These basically, you build up this stuff called Soul Erda, and you get this stuff called Soul Erda Fragments. As you level up, things will take more Soul Erda, and more Soul Erda Fragments to level up. And you can kind of level these up in whatever order you want. Generally speaking, your class discords have already done all of the hard math. I just realized I have the explanation thingy in the way of the thing that I am explaining. We'll just put this, like, I don't know, up here for now. But basically, you can get Soul Erda from mob drops, you can get Soul Erda energy in the form of mob drops, but also from, like, dailies and weeklies. And then you have your Hexa stat, which also costs fragments and Soul Erda. And then you level these up to get increasing amounts of stats. Now, you might already be thinking, Avery, you're insane. Why would you play this game? The answer is, I'm insane. I will play this game. Now, this is also not accounting for RNG, because if you're keeping track, it is very fun. Like, the bosses in this game are genuinely really enjoyable. I'll be showing off some of those in a minute, and I'll show them off on a couple different characters that are at different points of the game, so you can see, like, kind of how the power progression goes. But, like, these Hexa stats, RNG, getting your Soul Erda fragments and Soul Erda as drops, you get a trickle of them weekly guaranteed, but also, like, extra ones, RNG from mob drops. Node stones, RNG from mob drops, though they're kind of just showered upon you by events at this point. So they're not really that big of a deal. Your abilities, like, specifically the ability tab here, RNG. Your gear drops, RNG. Your gear star forcing, RNG. Your gear flames, RNG. Your gear potential, RNG. Your soul weapon, RNG. There are so many layers of RNG to gearing up and getting stronger in this game. There are, in fact, so many layers to it that I would actually wager that it does kind of, just generally speaking, approach the average. Like, obviously, there's things that you'll go super dry on. There's things that you'll, like, super duper luck sack on and get immediately. But, like, generally speaking, you'll go somewhere close to the average over the course of this game, just because you're going to be doing so many instances of RNG that it'll all add up. Now then, now that I've explained the core basic systems of the game, I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting. I feel like there is. I guess there's also a monster collection, but that's more of like a side thing than specifically like actual core power progression. There's professions, which there's a whole layer of crafting and stuff on here. And then also, you know, you still just have, like, your general level up, gear up, stuff like that. Oh, right! Set bonuses. So, there's also sets. So, like here, the Royal Dunwich Hat, the Eagle-Eye Dunwich Robe, and the Trickster Dunwich Pants are part of the Root Abyss set. So, by combining your different equipment pieces, you can also get equipment sets. So, like, here's Arcane set. Here is the Gollux set, specifically the Superior Gollux set, because there's multiple Gollux sets. Here is the Dawn Boss set. Here is the regular Boss Accessory set, because I have not gotten lucky enough to get, like, a Berserked. Yep, different classes can do different things. Like my class, for example, has a little thing here that, like, people can use to kind of fly around for a second or two. And then I also provide a just generic damage buff that is a little bit of healing in here. Lara, generally speaking, as a class, is considered bad, but she's cute, and I like playing her. She's fun. So, just suck it, tier lists. Oh, and then there's also guilds that have a whole progression system to them, too. So, like, if I open up the guild here and go to guild skills, you can see, like, there's this. Grab that. Grab these. Go to the Legion shop. Grab this. Grab one of these. Alright, so how about we actually do a boss fight real quick? I will let you all choose for me, chat. We've got Varys Hilla. We've got Chosen Saren. We've got Gloom. We've got Darknell. We've got Guardian Angel Slime. We've got Lucid. We've got Will. We've got Damien. We've got Lotus. Everybody has chosen Slime. Alright, we will fight Slime. Let me buff up. Let me set my familiars to my attack familiars. We're gonna do all of these, so, you know. It's mostly just the order here. So, Guardian Angel Slime's a pretty easy boss overall. It's gonna spawn in. He's a cute little baby, look at him. So I will set all of my skills there. Hit my burst. So you avoid the lasers. And these slimes, the like red lava slimes here, you will hit them into these portals. And that will become important later. Again, Maple Story slimes are simply the best slimes in video games. It's not a contest. But if it was a contest, Maple Story slime would be winning it. Alright, so the blue portal's blocked, orange portal isn't yet, so I will hit this. And you can see up at the top here, there is a timer for the boss timer, but there's also a timer below it. That's for the phase transition. So in about 15 seconds here, we will go through the phase transition. Like, their little starry eye, their little blush, they're so happy. The dumb little pom-pom they have on their head, like, I just love them. Alright, so with this, basically, now what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to set up these little crystals. These crystals will redirect a falling wave of slime. Which will take the longest path on any given, like, path that it will take. And for the green wave, you're trying to redirect it into one of the portals you have blocked. There is also a yellow wave, which you try to redirect into the portals that you haven't blocked. And if you do it successfully, Guardian Angel Slime will be stunned, and you can just absolutely massacre the poor baby. This is called an origin skill. You get this in 6th job. This is basically your cutscene attack where you go, I am the boss now. To be honest, I might have enough damage that I could just, Whoops. Let's see, if I do this... I do think if I just focused entirely on damage, I might be able to do this without a second gate phase. Let's see, I'll pop my iframe here from my Genesis weapon and just hit this as much as I can. I didn't actually see if it was going to be the one that I need to redirect in or out. So, nope, it's a green wave. Okay, we're fine. So I'll just set this up in a super lazy way. Also, these aren't 1,000 billions. These are just, there's a decimal in there. So it's like, you know, 13.5, etc., etc. And that's Guardian Angel Slime down. Now, you also, because you have RNG in your drops, you are going to want to make yourself drop gear. And you are going to want to farm yourself out drop familiars. Which is why my character is suddenly turned into a silhouette here. One of my drop familiars also silhouettes my character. Another Guardian Angel Ring for the pile. Chaos difficulty Guardian Angel Slime tends to drop them quite a lot. We still have a decent bit of time here. So have I done... I haven't done Lotus. Lotus used to be my least favorite boss in the game, now has become one of my favorite bosses. You're not really going to get to see many of his mechanics here. Full disclosure. You will when I come here on a lower end character. Because I'll also do some of these bosses on some of my weaker characters to show off, like, the difference in how this game scales. So for this phase, I usually just hit it with my burst. And this will immediately push it into its phase transition. Then coming into here, you know, I'll let the cutscene play out because, you know, let y'all see it. Normally, I would just skip the cutscenes mid-fight, though.
Elimination protocol engaged.
So for this phase, I'll usually just hit it with my Ascent skills. You get 3 of those per boss. They give you a little iframe. And deal a bunch of damage. Very useful. And now Lotus is aura farming, even though he is about to live approximately, like, 12 more seconds, tops. Pretty good OST in this fight, too. Also, cool visual effects. And that's Lotus. Lotus is a boss from a fairly earlier point in the game than I'm at, but also a fairly later point in the game than I'm at. Paradoxically. Extreme Lotus is, like, much higher difficulty than I can really tackle. So I think I'm getting to the point where I could maybe try and, like, another 70 mil combat power. Alright, now we go... how much time do I have on my tickets? 20 minutes? Let's do... I can definitely do hard Darknell in that time, I think. Darknell was one of my least favorite bosses, has become one of my favorite bosses as well. One thing I do appreciate with Darknell is there's not really any filler in the fight, so to speak. Like, there's no phase transitions, there's no, like, delay cutscenes. You just get to jump in and beat this dude up. Alright, get these, hit this, hit this, hit this, and... Burst is a go. Roughly 1 bajillion damage. So this boss is very much a dodge the stuff type boss. So he'll summon in a mage that will throw a little orb across the screen. The pirate will fire the little, like, reticles there. He'll do sword slaps that knock you back. There are chains that are coming from above. The warrior will do things. The archer will shoot across the map. And then you have the meteors and stuff to deal with. Plus, like, the little light pillars that deal chip damage. And these chains that also kind of deal a little bit of chip damage. In this case, the ones that you want to watch out for the most... the ones that you want to watch out for the most are the big sword wave that he does, and the shot from the archer that just both will hit very hard. Because usually what will kill you in this fight is, like, getting hit by multiple stuff at once and just getting your entire health bar deleted at once. And my burst is back up, so I will bind. I will drop this, and this. Use my origin, or my ascent skill rather, for a little bit of an iframe. Might as well just use these up, just to get them out of the way. And I will pop my Genesis Weapons iframe, which lasts a little bit, so that I can just deal a bunch of damage without having to really worry about mechanics for a second. Use Blink to hover to dodge some of the stuff. Like, you can see, there's a lot of just careful positioning in this fight. And sometimes you'll see, like, I jump and I hover. Blink, if you use it while in midair, you'll hover like this. You can use that for a lot of stuff. You can basically think of it as like an air stall. And it adds a lot of just interesting complexity to fights in terms of, like, your options for dodging stuff. Oop, got hit by the archer. Pop another iframe here to dodge. I'm glad that they finally gave, like, the mage iframe used to not be like a true iframe, so a lot of times you'd get killed, and Lara just doesn't have iframes as a class. Now she's actually pretty survivable between the Genesis weapon iframe and the, like, generic mage iframe. But before that, there were a lot of things that were really hard to deal with as her. And that's dark now. Watch, he's gonna drop Commanding Force earrings, and this is going to be my streamer luck. When I don't need Commanding Force earrings, I need, like, any other pitched piece. A weapon jump ring would be nice for my mini burst too. Nope. Just the other earrings that aren't really useful to me, Estella earrings. The reason that the earrings aren't useful to me is because the Superior Gallic set is wildly overtuned, and is just basically the best in slot set until ridiculously late game. Let's grab another set of these, and another set of these. And we will do Lucid next. Get her out of the way. Also, you might notice that my skills are a little bit like ghostly transparent here. I will show you why I have that set the way that I have it. For if I turn them all the way up, Lara is not a class that you can see what is going on. There are classes you can play with your skill effect transparency all the way up and still play pretty decently. Lara's not one of them. Lara is very much not one of them. I keep hitting escape just instinctively off muscle memory and grayscaling the cutscenes. Lucid's also very fun. I like her story a lot. She is also incredibly in lesbians with one of the classes, Mercedes. Like, there was a whole event about it. Yeah, the car. Charm's not lying. They basically made out on camera. Anyway, that's phase 1. And then we get phase 2. She summoned a big old dragon, so I gotta wait a second. Otherwise that happens and you die. Pop an iframe through that. My burst is almost back up. Did I origin burst at the start? I didn't. Whoops. Whoops. You do get multiple deaths in most of the boss fights. Alright, my burst is back up, so I will hit her with a bind. And then hit all of the buttons. And then I will origin. Then you have phase 3 where you have to burst her a sufficient degree. But I have saved my ascent skills, and thus she is deleted. I want a sandwich. I was gonna eat before stream, but I was showing off Deadlock clips in the Discord plug. Horse. So I kind of forgot to eat beforehand. It's fine though. I'll do that after. And nothing good. Alright, so we now have defeated the Toxic Yuri boss. Now let's go fight the Toxic Yaoi boss. This boss used to genuinely annoy me. I used to hate this boss. I still kind of do hate this boss, if I'm completely honest. So, phase 1, you're gonna bully him in 2 dimensions simultaneously. You're gonna be dodging just all of the stuff, just so many things going on screen all at once. Most of it isn't actually that dangerous, and it's just doing chip damage to you, but it does add up. You'll swap dimensions every so often to hit him in the other dimension, which is why you can see his health bar is kind of split there on the top. After you have damaged him enough in both dimensions, he will do a test phase, which will be coming up here in a second. The first part of the test is this eye will pop up, and you need to make sure that you are in the same dimension as the eye, or you will get one shot. Then, you get put over here, where you have to go and grab these things. Specifically, the yellow ones, not the purple ones. The orpal ones hurt. And then, if you did the test correctly, he will be in pain. And temporarily stunned, where you can just kind of freely damage him for a moment. Then you push him to the next phase. Whoop, he forcibly sent me to the other dimension. And... ooh, that yellow orb dropped right in the perfect spot. Once you have the orb, by the way, you don't need to keep hitting him. You can just kind of let it sit there until the test runs. One cool thing about Lara is because she's a summoner class, you can actually leave your summons in the other dimension to beat him up while you come over here. And you can do both at once. I'm gonna quickly absorb all of these just so that... whoop. See, like, now my death count is 9. You have some time to revive here. I think I failed the test because I wasn't in the right dimension. So this is probably going to heal half of his little mini health bar back. And I'll just have to quickly transition the phase again. Nope, never mind. I died right before the test went. Nice. So, phase 2. Also going to open another seltzer here. Phase 2, your healing is going to be disabled. And you will be having to dodge him and his reflection in the ground. So, like, you see how there's, like, me in the ground and him there? I need to pay attention to both sets of movements at once to dodge stuff. And I will just burst him for this. And then you will have for the test phase, if the ground is not cracked, you need to avoid the legs. If the ground is cracked, you have to get hit by the legs. Which in this case, it was cracked all 3 waves. And we will simply massacre him a little bit here. Whoops. During this phase now, that I have enough damage to brute force it, I usually just kind of let him kill me and use the post-revive invincibility to just delete him really quick. Fun fact, if the ground isn't cracked, by the way, you can just stand on the far left side of the screen here and none of the legs will hit you. for when you need to avoid it. Alright, now we have the final phase. You'll get to see these fights a little bit more when I do them on a lower end character that can't just delete them quite so quick. He takes off his glasses, and that's how you know he's evil, because only evil people would willingly remove their glasses. So he does his big spider form. When he goes red eyes like that, you need to stay moving. And if he has yellow eyes, you need to stand still. You also can cleanse these little webs, which will build up through the course of the fight. And they will silence you and disable your abilities and be awful. We're not going to engage with any of that. We're just going to simply do this to him. Exactly. Except, like, in reverse. The last phase on this can genuinely be really hard if you don't have the DPS to just annihilate him. Now, for this, let's get our familiars out. We do actually have drops that we are hoping for. Twilight Mark, nice. Twilight Marks aren't super rare on the max difficulty, but I do want a bunch of them because when the next Star Forcing event rolls around, I'll be trying to take my Twilight Mark here up to 21 or 22 stars. So I'm gonna need bonuses for when it inevitably explodes and I have to restore it. Though I might skip the next Star Forcing event on my main and do it on one of my alts instead. Like, technically it would be more efficient for me to just put it onto my main here, but I like playing multiple characters, so, you know. Less efficient, more fun maximizing. As for bosses, let's do Gloom. Gloom is not a hard boss. Gloom is kind of a giant punching bag. In fact, I will put myself onto my offense familiars for this. Yep, your Ascent skill entirely ignores the boss's defense. The reason Ignore Defense is such a good stat, by the way, is endgame bosses have 300% ignore enemy damage by base or more. So, like, right now, I have, you know, 96.59% ignore enemy defense. So I'm ignoring a huge chunk of that, which allows me to actually deal damage. Did I actually set this to my attack familiars? I did. Alright, for this boss, normally what you do if you don't have Ascent is you stand there on the left side of the screen and you wait for it to open its big dumb eyeball so you can hit it. However, if you do have Ascent skills, you can do this to deal a bunch of damage. And usually this will be enough to almost force it to open its eye, or to directly force it to open its eye if you have enough damage. I don't. Lara does not have very good damage. She was supposed to be getting buffs carried over from the Korean version of the game, but this has now been delayed like 3 question mark patches in a row? And even after, like, several patches in a row of buffs that were supposed to hit, had they hit, it still would have only put us vaguely towards, like, the lower middle of the pack in terms of damage. So now, it opened its eye, you hit it with everything you've got. Do not worry, I was also stuck playing Deadlock until now. Yeah. Yeah, Lara is very much a Sprinkle maxer. Her basic attack is just called Sprinkle. Alright, so this time I don't have an Ascent to just cheese it, but you'll see there's going to be a big old beam that's going to get fired. That will kill you to death until you die if you touch it. So if you ever wanted, like, pro-life advice with Avery, giant laser beams, also like those, don't get hit by those either. More pro-life tips. Hi, okay. So yeah, after you have been hit by enough of the various stuff, you get put in the spooky, scary zone. It's a zone where things are spooky and scary. Sometimes you have to mash out, and you have to kill these little ghosts that are around, and that will speed up how quickly it gets you out of it, or you can just wait it out by dodging for long enough. I'm Lara, so I just get to kill the ghost kinda for free. How goes the story of Maple? Well, I already storied a lot about Maple earlier, explaining various systems of the game. Now we're just quickly blasting through some weekly bosses to show them off. Also, that beam will vacuum you in, so you kind of want to wedge yourself up against the wall to avoid it. And you can see yet again Blink coming in super duper clutch for just trivializing a lot of mechanics. The ability to hover is really good. Another thing that is slept on by a lot of people, I feel like, is the ability to duck, because this does actually change your hitbox. And there are a lot of bosses, especially later in the game, that you can just avoid by ducking. Or, like, using your little iframes like that to dodge stuff. Alright, so this boss actually drops something that we do very much want. This drops a ring. Does Maple have a girlfriend in this story? Kind of. Unfortunately, the character that everybody ships Lara with is super duper dead. Also isn't really a boss I could go fight her. I technically have her unlocked. I do not think I could stand even the tiniest ghost of a chance at defeating her. But I can go show her off. Where is she? Kelling. Alrighty, here we go. What? Oh, right, I forgot. This, I have to... Let's fight Bird. I don't like Bird. Yu-Gi-Oh! Link 4 looking. Nah, this is a synchro monster. Actually, I'm doing more damage to this than I thought I was. Is this a boss I could potentially start doing in a group? Where Bird? There, Bird. So many knockbacks. Definitely did that wrong. I don't know this fight at all, so, But yeah, basically you would have to beat all of the perils here, and then you would also have to go and defeat the boss afterwards. Aha. I see. So you have to look for the drawing that has the thing hiding in it, and then you'd have to break them. But yeah, I can't really fight her yet, I don't think. Maybe in a group? Like, but I don't think I'd really contribute that terribly much. I could probably at least hit the 5% damage contribution, though. Because, like, this is where I'm at boss-wise. I could technically start doing easy first adversary. And I could do hard chosen Saren in a group. And easy Kalos, but I haven't actually cleared any of these three yet. Let's quickly grab more buffs. And I will show off Hard Varus Hilla. Hilla also has a alternate death mechanic that is kind of cool. Your healing is disabled the entire fight. Regen familiars are just how you make this fight work, basically, if you want to do it a more easy way. Because normally what would happen is you would need to get hit by these threads that snare you, and once you've been hit by enough, it'll make more sense in the fight. But, like, you'd have to get hit by enough of them to get a little altar to pop up, to then have that altar be a thing that you could go interact with to cleanse your deaths and get health back.
Show me what your soul is made of.
It's like you can see she summons little minions there. I'm gonna hit her with my burst. So those skulls, those are your deaths, but also you're going to get hit by these little threads, which you can see there's a whole bunch of them. I'll actually just go get hit by one to kind of show you what happens. You'll get bound here, right? And one of the skulls will turn red. That death is temporarily taken. And you'd have to go over to this altar with enough of those skulls taken to use it, and it will cleanse the skulls. The fewer skulls you have left, the more you will have to, or rather, the fewer times you'll need to get hit by the threads. But, like, if all of your skulls turn red, you just die. And there's a little timer. So, like, you'll see here, there's a little timer at the bottom that she will do to attack. Like, it'll hit the full map, and it will take any of your red skulls and just completely kill them. And you won't get them back. It'll count as if you died. Dying will also take your skulls. If you run out of skulls, you run out of lives for the fight. This fight is one that tends to, like, intimidate a lot of people. And rightfully so, I would say. Hello, Burb. I'm a hate watcher. Please wipe. I will not be wiping. I will be killing this boss successfully. Probably. I could still die out. This boss actually isn't really my best fight. Well, I am going to lose one of my skulls here. Alright, I will wait for her to come over here. If she would kindly ever come over here. There we go. And a bind and a burst. You can kind of do this boss a lot easier too, where, like, if you just pretty much spend most of it running away, but it takes a lot longer, so I like to kind of maintain aggro, at least a little bit. There's also a few spots that are always safe from the threads, no matter what. One of them is right here at the far right of the screen. And then there is also this spot right here, and this spot right here. There's a couple others, but those are the three ones that I mainly use. So, like, as long as you're camped, like, right here, the threads will never hit you, and you only need to worry about dodging her, and then if she comes over there, you can just come back over here. And then she goes over there, and you come over here. And you can do this fight very safely that way. At least assuming you have any sort of, like, regen familiar. Yeah, like, you can also just react to the strings. That's usually what I'll end up doing, just because, like I said, I don't like playing super duper cautiously for this boss, just because, like, it just takes too long. And given that this is a boss that, like, you know, if you mess up, it can kind of just wipe you out of the fight, like, I feel like there's benefit to not having the fight take as long. Like, the longer the fight takes, the longer you just have a chance to just kind of completely mess up and blow yourself up. Oops, I didn't actually pop my pipe from there. Alright, I still have two Ascent skills, not Origin skills. Might as well pop those. And Mini Burst. Now let's wait for her to come over here. I don't usually like fighting her super in the corner there. Just because, like, the little minions that she summons, when you kill them, they'll leave, like, a puddle on the ground. And those puddles can be a lot more annoying to play around when you're, like, you know, kind of wedged into the corner. And there we go. Easy peasy. What we will be hoping for from here is a source of suffering. I have not gotten basically any of the pitched boss drops from any of the bosses that I need them from. So let's hope that we get something finally. Streamer luck come through? No, nothing. You don't even need to bless me with bad drops. Like, it's been like a year. The only pitch drops that I've got have been the, character presets are unavailable. There we go. The only pitch drops that I've got have been Blackheart, which is like a fake pitched drop. It's not really... It's on a completely different level of being common. And the Spellbook. After, like, I don't know, probably over a year of clearing Hardwill at this point. And I have seen one. And that's with full drop gear, mind you. Alright, let's see. We did Will, we did Lucid, we did Gloom, we did Dark, now we did Lotus, we did Damien, we did pretty much everything but Saren. I don't know if I really feel like fighting Saren. She takes too long in my current setup. We will go Explode Pino, because there is some useful stuff that I can still get from her. I will fight her in my drop gear because, well, you'll see. This is a very, very low level boss. Here she is. Wow, she became a pile of loot. It's the so common Nexon 0.001% drop chance. It's really algorithmically manipulated based on emotional statistics. So, Fun aside about that, right? Did you know that MapleStory has received multiple lawsuits for fixing its drop rates? Or, well, not just its drop rates, but also its RNG in general. Like, one of the most recent ones, for example, is they had a lawsuit where your rates of getting good potentials on your gear or good boss drops or stuff like that actually were multiplied massively if you left your guild and deleted your entire friends list and made it look like you were on the verge of quitting the game. The game would suddenly give you way better drops and way better RNG as kind of a ploy to try and bait you back in. So, you know, if you ever wondered, like, is Nexon really that evil of a company? Yeah. Yep. They're also basically the ones who invented the loot box. Alright, so we did those bosses on a character that is stronger. Now, let's hop to a character that was recently remade. Kana. My Kana is much weaker than my Lara. And also just got a rework. Very much still love the game, just wish they didn't do that stuff. Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Like, Nexon is maybe one of the most evil companies I know, but at the same time, like, in terms of, like, you know, video game evil, obviously there are companies that are far more actively, like, destroying the world type evil, but, like, Nexon is, like, evil in the, like, sort of, like, manipulative RNG, you know. Do I have any symbols that are about to rank up? My Hotel Arcus symbol would rank up. These would not. So we will quickly go and just beat up these things. For Kana, I can actually play with my skill opacity up, so I will. I love these little guys. They're great. But yeah, so Kana got a rework recently. She was initially, like, an onmyoji that had a very, like, almost like ukiyo-e style visual to her skills. And you would summon a whole bunch of yokai and you'd, you know, go around with, like, your big old oni with its cool scarf punching things and, like, your 12-headed orochi that would just shoot laser beams out, and your Yuki-onna that would, like, fly around breathing ice at everything. Love you too, cat. Have a good rest. But what they decided was with Kana, that instead she should be a Yuri class, and should get a whole bunch of cute girls for her yokai instead of, like, much more traditional depictions of the yokai. Here's a good example of, like, one of the rune effects that, you could get that actually does something. Rune of Giants. It makes it so that when you jump, you will one-shot the mobs that you land on. Or, well, land around, even. There's the tube men from the event. A little bit more visible. And you can see how much different, like, the looting of the mobs is without a back pet now, where, like, I'm actually having to travel around the map and, like, manually pick stuff up. I also wish that I had a... that was a Rune of Giants that made me huge like that. I wish I had some, like, pre-rework Kana footage. She was also a very complicated class pre-rework. Where, like, not even joking, having sticky keys on was a core part of playing the class. Because it simplified the inputs that you needed to do a lot. Also, sometimes with the way that she was set up as a class, you would just eat temporary bans for playing her and activating certain abilities because it would flag the anti-cheat and kick you automatically. So, like, that was a unique experience to playing Kana, too. Where was it? Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. We will buy a VIP buff because we will need one. We will go to our symbols. We will enhance. We already did... No, we didn't do our daily check-in. Event ring. I already have event ring, so it's fine. I don't need that. I'll give that to a different character. What else do we got? Alright, let's go clear a boss on this character to show you kind of the difference here. I'll see if I can actually clear Hard Lotus. I don't know if I can on this character. But we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. Wait, no, it would be this one. Okay. So... Oh, whoops. I need to go do Culvert real quick for my guild skills. So, this is a weekly thing that you get for your guild, basically. Again, another progression system in here is all of the guild stuff. And basically, for this, you just come in here as a weekly thing. And it's basically just a big old punching bag. And you're just trying to deal as much damage as humanly possible to it in the 2-minute window. There's not really any mechanics or anything you have to worry about. All of the damage is this kind of meaningless chip damage. As far as how Kana plays, you have your summons are going to be doing most of the fighting for you, and you'll see my screen flashes colors every so often. Each summon can proc one of the other summon's abilities. So like your Oni can proc your Tengu skills, and your Tengu can proc your Orochi skills. And you're kind of playing whack-a-mole with the resets, while just maintaining your very basic, like, almost no damage, noodly, regular attack. This does make Kana really good in the sense that you can maintain almost full damage on a boss by just kind of teleporting around and focusing on dodging. Forgot I don't have an auto potion pet, so, on my Kana. Or I should, actually. However, you'll notice my damage has completely fallen off. Kana is very, very, very much a burst class. Almost all of her damage is in her burst window. Which is good and is bad, too. Like... It's good because, like, during burst windows, that's when everybody buffs up, and that's when, like, the most damage comes out. So you kind of maximize the amount of benefit you get from that. But it's bad because it means if you don't have enough damage to burst the boss into, like, its phase transitions and stuff, suddenly you're left waiting and kind of just sandbagging through a lot of stuff. Which of these rings would be best for me to get rid of here? Probably the Silver Blossom ring. Though that contributes to the boss set, so I'll get rid of the Kana's treasure for now. And then I'll go to sequence, and in my burst sequence... I forget where I put the ring activation in here. Let me quickly double check. I'll just look in the Kana class Discord. Okay, it is just at the end. This rental gear is a really, really nice thing that they did. Where this gives you just huge combat power bonuses if you're, like, a poorly geared character. I actually don't have any totems. Let me go to my guild hall and see if I can buy some. Oh, wait, what? I probably need to wait for the guild leader to chuck me into the Did Culvert this week thing. Yeah, the funny skill rings are very useful. You'll see when I go to fight a boss here. Let me hit my buffs. I don't have my guild skills, but that's whatever. We'll go fight Lotus again, because we didn't really get to see the mechanics there. And we'll fight... Actually, wait. But that would cancel all of my buffs. I was gonna say, I could set it up and do the, guild skills... Or not guild skills, but, set my Kana up as a Legion champion. But we'll just leave it like this for now. One thing that's nice about Kana is she doesn't really have any buffs to maintain anymore. You can kind of just go right into a boss. Also fun with Kana is Haku just stands there during cutscenes, which is very funny. Alright, and now we basically just get to hang out until our burst is backed up. Which is the downside to a burst class. On the upside, I think I have more than enough damage to clear this. Like, you just saw me fight this exact boss on my Lara, and pretty much full burst it, so now you get to actually see a little bit more of, like, what the mechanics are. Some of the later bosses get really complicated in their mechanics. I do eventually want to start pushing into the later bosses, but given that I juggle so many games at once, like, it's a little bit rough. I don't want to waste another burst on this. But, like, maybe a mini burst will be okay. Because I want to push this to, like, a phase transition here, but, like, this is what I mean about, like, the downsides of a burst class. I don't have enough burst to one burst this. Which means now I kind of have to wait between my bursts and do nothing, and, like, it's probably worth it for me to just hit my burst here. But, like, now a lot of this burst gets wasted going into the next phase here. And I'll be doing almost no damage during this phase while just waiting for my burst to come back up. She's also a teleport class instead of a flash jump class, which is pretty nice. Teleports are pretty strong in this game, especially if they are true teleports where you're technically, like, untargetable between point A and point B. Whoop. I got hit by several things at once there. But I'll just wait out the death timer here. This is another tip. You don't need to revive immediately. Like, my cooldowns are still ticking while I'm dead. So I can kind of just sit here, chill for a second, stretch. And then my cooldowns will mostly be back up by the time I am back up. You do get your 1 minute mini burst between your full bursts, but it's definitely your full burst is where most of your damage is. I'm debating maybe picking up, even though technically your optimal skill order doesn't have you grab it yet, but like, I like grabbing the Ascent skills early on like various classes, just because like, it gives you so much extra burst damage outside of your burst window. It gives you an easy access iframe. Like, it's one of those things where it's not optimal damage, but the utility is so nice. Also, thank you for the follow. Whoop, I'm gonna get zapped here by this. However, I can wait out my cooldowns. Again, we're in a position where, like, I'm like a burst window off here. I'll try and save some of my burst window. And then we do have an origin burst coming for the final phase here too. So that's a benefit. Realistically speaking, your basic attack damage is so low on this class, especially outside of burst, that like you can kind of just not even bother with it if you don't want. And still deal a very respectable amount of your damage. While mostly just, you know, playing whack-a-mole with your summon abilities. I keep forgetting I don't have an auto potion pet on this class. However, I do have burst up after this, so I think we should be mostly fine here. I don't like fighting him on the bottom platforms here. I like dodging along the top a lot more. Because during this phase, you kind of want to stay in one of the two corners here, or like in range of it, just so that when it does the purge loop, you can get to one of the two safe spots. 10 seconds and we've got burst up again, and that should be this fight. Orochi gets your ascent at least. Alright. Slap it with all of the burst. And there we go. Cleared. But yeah, I do find it funny that the Oni is the one that gets, like, your big skill. Oh no, I forgot to set my summons, but I don't really have drop gear to worry about anyway. Or well, I do, but it's just also my bossing gear on this character because she's not super geared yet. Anyway. That's that. That's what a regular boss looks like here. And with those little boss crystals, you can then go and, you know, sell them for big money. Mesos are kind of your everything on here. But, like, there's just so much RNG. I love this game, but I hate this game, but I love this game, but I hate this game. I'm also starving, so I think what I'll do here real quick is I'll quickly buy a Hyper Teleport Rock, which you can get for a Mesos on here. And we will go do a little OST showcase. Now, I've asked this before, right? But there's an area in here, and the song very much reminds me of something, and I have no idea what it is. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. What is this song? What does this remind me of? Also, jams. I love this song. Go my Oni, beat them to death. Like, I feel like it must just be reminding me of like 4 or 5 different songs at once. And that's why I can't place what individual song it reminds me of. It's good though. Like, I feel like it's something specifically, like, old. This place also has great OST. It does have a little bit of Eurobeat vibes to it, that other song. This song here kind of gives me, like, Charlian vibes. Thank you for the follow. Raiders, hello. Hello, hello, hello. You're just chatting? What about, Nell? Also, for those of you joining me for the first time, I'm Avery Alexander, Owl Harpy Librarian, and we are playing MapleStory. Specifically, modern MapleStory, because on Wednesday we will be playing classic MapleStory as a big old group. And if you would like to join, I have some stuff in the Discord for that, but you don't necessarily need to join the Discord if you want to join on this. I'll kind of give the plug for that. So every other week, which happens to be this coming week, right? We all group up as a big old group, and we go into an old MMO or a dead MMO or a private server for an old MMO that is dead, and we just goof off for a day and kind of have like a little bit of a nostalgic experience or try some old games that we might not have tried. And the wheel chose MapleStory Classic for us. So we're all going to be playing on a MapleStory private server, because official Maple Classic hasn't launched yet. And the server that we will be playing on is, I think it was Maple Royal? Pretty sure it was Maple Royals. Gonna lurk and do post-stream stuff. Take care and enjoy your owl treats. Thank you, and you have fun now. But yeah, basically we'll be playing on Maple Royals. It's a MapleStory Classic private server. It does have like multiplied EXP rates and stuff, but that's fine because we're only gonna be playing for the one day, basically, as a big old group. We'll all make characters, we'll all group up, and we'll all go have a good time there. This stream was mostly to showcase what modern MapleStory is like by comparison, so people have a frame of reference. Modern MapleStory is a lot. There is so many systems and so many layers of RNG and just so many things going on, and the bosses are ridiculous and the areas are wild. Like, you can see the DNA of the original game in there, but fundamentally they are completely different games at this point. Now, where else has really good OST? I'm kind of just doing an OST tour here to wrap up kind of the end of stuff. Esfera has really good BGM too. Haku, what are you doing? She's just like caught in a forever falling loop. You know what? Let's ask. Hey Haku, what are you doing? It's so true, but that doesn't explain. We'll do this so she can stand normally. But yeah, they basically turned Kana into the Yuri maxing class. I kinda miss the old like ukiyo-e style art for her skills, but I'm okay with them having decided to go the full Yuri route too. In general, basically anywhere here in the Arcane River has really good OST. Also, anything anywhere in MapleStory tends to have really good OST. There's not really anywhere that I would consider, like, genuinely bad. Like, this is all more modern Maple music, but even from the very beginning, Like, if we just want to go for a super duper classic. This is not only one of my favorite MapleStory songs, but, like, this is one of my favorite songs of all time. I love the Alinea music. We'll also be hearing this on Wednesday, too. Like, I don't want to over go through the classic areas here, because we'll be hearing a lot of these, like, basic town themes. But MapleStory has such good music. And there's so many songs in this game. Like, there's so many areas, there's so many, like... It's incredible that they've managed to maintain such a high general quality of music for so many years in so many areas with so many genres and themes. Whoops. I want to go into the tower. No, no. No, no! 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 It disabled my teleport skill, so I couldn't fix it here. We'll just quickly take the climb of shame back up here. Like, just... There are, like, an endless number of areas that I just love in this game. This is another one of my favorite songs in the entire game. This is very, like, Zora's Domain, Ocarina of Time, kinda. Honestly, one of my big, like, unfortunate things with this game is I wish that a lot of these old areas were more relevant or useful in some way. The new Mystic exploration stuff for, like, the familiars kind of helps, because, like, you'll want to come back and hunt familiar cards for some of these. Forget which one it is here. It's here. We're gonna go see if Pianus is up right now. Because there is a boss, and it is called Pianus. Yep, there are two Pianists here. We did it. We defeated pianists. Help, I jumped too far. There we go. Again, really good song here. Very Shantae. So many good songs. I forget where I can go to get no, that's in the Moonlight Bamboo Grove. Did they get rid of them? I think they might have gotten rid of it. Wait. Oh wait, I remember how to get there normally. Let's go here. Is Irvin the one that I take? No, that's to Gold Beach. I think I go up? This song will be hearing a lot during the next stream. I forget where it is. I think it's around here. No, that's to get out toward Leafra. Or no, that's to get to the Cygnus. And this is to get to Edelstein. It might not be accessible anymore. Let's see. No, I guess they're not accessible anymore. Yes, Selkies aren't in. Alright, I can't send us to Singapore. Like, the actual place, the Singapore, is just a place that you could go in MapleStory, but I guess it's not here anymore. Unfortunate. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, really inaccessible areas, and I forget what's around and what isn't. This is another one of my favorite songs in the game, and one of my favorite video game songs in general. While this plays, if I tab out, it's gonna break the OST. Because I wanted to find who we could raid here. So, let me Actually, let's see. Is there a way for me to do this with settings, sound? Game? New. I unfortunately don't think that there is a way to mute the game or unmute the game when I am not tabbed in. So let's see who there is to raid. And I will send you all to... I'll send you to another fellow owl who's playing Deadlock, because Deadlock kicks are everywhere now, it seems. But Cloudy's trying to kick a League addiction with Deadlock, and we all support everybody trying to kick their League of Legends addiction. So, I'll send you all there, because I am absolutely starving right now. Like, I was going to eat before stream, and then I didn't. And I was going to eat before Deadlock before stream, and then I didn't. And then I was going to eat before working on commissions before Deadlock before stream, and I didn't. So I'm going to eat. I'm going to eat a food. I will send you all over to Cloudy. And I will see you all on Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern Time for Classic MapleStory. It's going to be a really fun time. Even if you don't end up playing, do please hop in and hang out with us. It'll be a great nostalgic experience. I'm sure many of you grew up playing MapleStory. And after that, we'll figure out the rest of the week in later, because I'm hungry. So for now, love you all lots. Thank you all for joining me. And until next time, hootaloo.